So college basketball will be here before you know it. And Andy Katz, who is, in my opinion, as good of a college basketball voice as they come, released his top 10 dark horses to reach the Final Four. Now, to each their own. But to me, even in a down year, teams like Carolina, Maryland, Villanova, UCLA, Illinois, even they can't be considered dark horses. You and I both respectfully disagree with Andy Katz's list. So Jason and I are going to give you the actual dark horse pick to the Final Four.
My first dark horse, everybody, is none other than the Big East, Seton Hall. Ooh, don't do that too loud. Everybody gonna say, I talking shit. But listen, I went to a few games last year and I sat very close and I watched how the opponent is nervous when they are checking Kadari. I'm just being honest. My man is a beast on the court. He's giving you problems in the open court. He's stopping and popping. He's catching and shoot. He's pulling up mid-range. He's going to the rim, and if he goes by you, he's definitely banging it. He's on the boards. He's playing defense. He might be Big East Player of the Year, actually. And Shaheem Holloway and Rasheem Davis going to do what they do. You know how they do. We saw those coaches take St. Peter's as far as they did and beat schools like Kentucky and those other type of schools. Yeah. You could only imagine now they're in the Big East and they got a year under their belt. And it wasn't just a quick having to hire and fire because they cut a lot of people. Mm-hmm. They got Dylan Wasu now, who's a transfer from St. John's, Big East to Big East. He's over there. They returned Q, the point guard from Clemson that transferred into Seton Hall.
Alamir Dawes.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Dog. Then you got the real dog, Kadari. Mm-hmm. Now, who's stopping that? Like, you really got some real guys returning, and you got the staff. So that's one of my sleepers. I got another one, though. What's yours?
All right, so my dark horse, I'm kind of going with a theme this year, right? My theme is if you have at least two seniors in your backcourt who can shoot, and you have a very dominant big who's been there a long time, I like the value there as a dark horse. One of the teams that fits that criteria is actually a guy Andy Katz has on his list, and that's Boise State.
Wow, that's a sleeper for sure.
Boise State has made back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances for the first time in the history of the program. Here's where they fit my criteria nicely. They have two senior guards coming back. Max Rice, Chibuzo Agbo. I hope I'm saying his name right. I watched this kid's tape. He's a shooter. So I like Boise State because they have these two kids. This other kid, Max Rice, apparently he's the best player in Boise State history. He made 74 threes last season, shooting at 41%. So I like Boise State, right? And the other part of the criteria that they fit for me is you need a dominant big. They brought in a transfer, Cam Martin, 6'9", 234. So he's a big dude, and he comes in from Kansas, and he won a championship there. So you bringing in a big with some veteran experience, 6'9", 234. I like that.
You called SF Austin. Nobody else called that shit. We bet on that and we hit that last year. I don't know anybody else that I spoke to, and I speak to a lot of people that went for SF Austin, and you called that. So for me, my second dark horse is split between two teams in the Atlantic 10 Conference, and I'm following two guys, Coach Fran Dunphy and Coach Frank Martin. Two guys that are very, very, very big in the win column. Okay? And Fran Dunphy been coaching before I was even here. And now he's at LaSalle. Okay, and guess what? Remember, he was at Temple for so long. He bounced around, and this guy is a Philly, PA guy, and he's still there. So we're not going to talk about, they already have Khalil Brantley as, I think, first team preseason. So they're returning a really good guard, and they're returning the big that came from St. Peter's. I think that those guys can make it to the tournament and make some noise. They're scrappy. And if I'm not saying LaSalle, Hank, I'm saying UMass, because Coach Frank Martin is at UMass now, and he's going to shake shit up.
Wow.
Remember how many times Frank Martin got there where you never even expected him to be there.
Fact.
And nobody's talking about him. And he's just under the radar. And he's got a lot of freshmen on that roster. One from Cardinal Hayes, we're going to shout out Tariq Foster, who's a champion, right? New York City, Cardinal Hayes. But they got multiple freshmen that's just ready to play. And the Atlantic 10 isn't very strong. So if it's not about the players, then it's about the coach.
Right.
So those are my two sleepers.
I also like Colorado.
Because of all the hype behind the city.
I think there's a lot of hype around the city, and they got this kid, De Silva. So he was all Pac-12 last year. Tough player. I think he was putting up like 16 a game. I think
I know who you're talking about.
He could have gotten drafted for sure. And he's gonna enter the year probably as like one of the guys who could win Conference Player of the Year. He's tough. Now, they also returned this kid, KJ Simpson. He's like their shooter. He was second team all Pac-12. And they brought in the number 7 player from the 2023 high school class, this kid named Cody Williams, because that's now the Colorado effect.
Oh, shit, I know who he is.
So that's the fucking Dion effect of all of that. Like, doesn't matter who you are. Everyone wants to be part of Colorado somehow. Like, everyone wants to be at Colorado. LeBron James flying out to Colorado for the weekend for games. Like, it doesn't matter. If LeBron James is flying out to Colorado for games, you think they can't get a couple good high school kids to come and play there?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like everyone's going to eat off of what Dion's doing. And I think basketball could play a role there. And they do have serious talent coming back. So
that's a good pick. I like that. That's a good dog horse.
Scope Buffs. Baby.
I ain't fucking with your Boise State. But the Colorado, the Dion effect, I like how you put that out there.
Yeah, that could be a thing.
Definitely.